Hello everyone, this is Void Spirit. I'm here to bring you guys amazing fanfiction that you will surely enjoy. But before we start, please subscribe and like the video for more amazing content. CH48. Enjoying the beach in the easy calaboose 3 days past. Today the group would be leaving to conquer the next dungeon, which was near Arison. However, before this, Ramia insisted that they try Arison's beach to have fun with Myu. Arison had several beaches since it was in the middle of the sea and everyone from the sea people liked them. The group easily accepted as this would be Mayu's farewell, so they all thought it would be a great farewell. At the moment everyone was on the private beach that Ramia had rented for them. Rimuru, Myu, Chloe, and Sakura were playing in the sea and the others were lying in the sun. The girls were wearing bikinis and the boys shorts while Myu was wearing a swimsuit. Wow. That's paradise. Yeah. Really very nice. Ufufu. I'm glad you guys liked it. What did you think, honey? Shia. Akame. You commented while sunbathing lying down and Ramia asked Hajime a question. Gossip about the human group in town was running wild, mostly because of Ramia always calling Hajime honey. Apparently Ramia was quite popular in Arison. Another reason for so much talk was because of the beautiful girls that made men drool and get slaps from their wives who cast jealous glances at the girls. The main target of these looks was Chloe, who stood out for her boundless beauty. Yes, it's a great beach. Hajime agreed with Ramia's question and leaned back in his chair. Myu-chan. Ehehe, Shiawani-chan, don't catch me. Myu stole Shia's blue bikini top and ran off toward the sea. Shia went running toward her while covering her breasts in shame. They seem to be having fun, Kaori said and lay down next to Hajime on his beach chair. Kaori was wearing a bikini seat and did everything she could to get close to Hajime. It was one of her seduction techniques. Hajime hugged her waist and Kaori kissed him. The two were quite clingy these past few days, but of course Hajime was still paying attention to Yu. Yu saw that Kaori approached Hajime and did the same. She sat on Hajime's lap and cast a cold glance at Kaori. Don't you think you're too close to Hajime, Kaori? Yu for some reason emphasized Kaori's name. Kaori stared at Yu and one could see lightning in their gazes. In addition, Kaori's Hanya seemed to be fighting with Yu's dragon. I think it's okay to stay like this, you know, Yui. The two stared at each other and Hajime sighed. To interrupt obviously arrived Tio. That look that Yu shows to Kaori. I wish Gushin-sama would throw me a look like that. Obviously she was met by a slap from Hajime. Tio had expected this and turned her ass over to be hit. Then she lay panting on the beach sand and Ramia commented. Era, shouldn't I be the one to stay close to Hajime? We have a daughter after all. Ramia's comment was met by cold stares from Kaori and Yu, but Ramia just countered the murderous atmosphere with ufufu. Seal was lying sunbathing while watching Rimuru and the others who were. What is it, Rimuru-san? Sakura and Chloe were confused as Rimuru stopped throwing water at them and just watched the two. Rimuru regained his senses when they realized him. No. It's nothing. Rimuru looked away embarrassed. He was actually in awe of how beautiful Chloe and Sakura looked in their bikinis and absently stared. Is everything okay? Chloe approached and leaned in confused. Sakura seemed to have noticed where Rimuru was looking and her cheeks flushed. Rimuru thought there was no need to disguise it and grabbed Chloe by the waist, leaving her surprised. This bikini looks beautiful on Chloe, I was just admiring it, he said and kissed her. Chloe's beautiful white bikini really enhanced her beauty and showed off her beautiful body. Chloe was surprised by the kiss, but didn't pull away. I'm glad you liked it. Ehehe. Rimuru-san looked beautiful like that too, Chloe said and looked at Rimuru's muscles. He was more muscular now that he had a human body since Rimuru played a lot of sports. Sakura walked over and hugged Rimuru's arm. Rimuru-san, like my bikini? Sure. Sakura had made her bikini with monomaterialization, so she made it so that Rimuru liked it. Rimuru quickly responded and kissed her too while holding her waist. The three of them went back to the beach and lay down on the chairs to sunbathe. Shia finally managed to get her bikini from Myu and said. That was embarrassing. But if Hajime-san wants to see my breasts, it's fine. Shia suggested and Hajime sighed once again. It seemed that wearing bikinis really made girls bolder. Papa, look. It's a talking fish. Huh. Myu pointed to the sea while shouting and Hajime was confused by her words. Everyone looked to where Myu was pointing and there was Lehman, the talking fish that Hajime and Shia released in foreign. Lehman-san. What are you guys doing here? Shia asked and all but Rimuru and Seal went toward Lehman. Oh, Hajime boy, Shia girl, it's good to see you. I just walked by and saw you guys so I stopped by to say hi. Hajime, who is that? Ah, that's. Hajime began to explain about Lehman to the group. While they were doing that. Master, could you pass some sunscreen on me? PFFH? Rimuru was so surprised that he spit out the coconut water he is taking it. He looked at Seal who was wearing an extremely small bikini and thought of himself rubbing sunscreen on her. This was certainly not a scene that Myu would see. Well, that's. Master doesn't want to touch me? You know it's not that. It's just kind of embarrassing to do that here. But it's just sunscreen, no big deal. Okay. Rimuru was still suspicious of his intentions, but he accepted. Seal lay on her stomach and unbuttoned the top of her bikini. Rimuru rubbed sunscreen on her back and shoulders and Seal seemed happy about it. Rimuru was also listening to Hajime's story as he did this. He finished his back and began to apply sunscreen to his legs, when he got to his thighs. Seal let out a small groan and Rimuru stopped his hands. Seal-san. What was that? What was what? Seal played dumb, and Rimuru was already almost certain that Ciel's intentions were otherwise. I can't be hearing things right? He wondered internally and continued to slather on the sunscreen. Okay, I'm done, he said and pushed his hands away. Wait master. There's a part missing. Eh? Seal taught his ass and Rimuru was surprised, she can't be wanting me to. Well, there's no one watching, he thought and put more protector in his hands. I guess it's okay. Rimuru said red after falling for the temptation that was Seal in a bikini. Meanwhile. Lehman-san, you said you were passing by here? Yes, that's right. I'm actually in search of my family. If I take too long, I don't even know what my wife will do. Are you married? Hajime and Shia were shocked by Lehman's revelation. He certainly didn't have the profile of a married man. Yes, I am married. My wife always fights with me because I like to go on adventures and it takes me a little while to get back. It seems that Lehman was not a responsible husband or father. Everyone doubted the a little while, he said. By the way Lehman spoke, his wife was very angry and even frightening. Lehman, go back to your family. Yes, your wife must be waiting. I hope you'll be okay. Everyone encouraged him and Lehman dove into the sea to return with his family while thinking about what his wife's reaction would be when he arrived. They returned to the beach and Rimuru had already stopped rubbing sunscreen on Ciel's butt. She put her bikini back on and was sitting on his lap while cuddled in his neck. As usual they are flirting. Yeah, it's really repetitive. Hajime and Shia commented as they saw them and the others found it natural. I'm kind of getting used to it. Yes, love is beautiful. I think Oni-chan and Oni-san are really nice together. Everyone enjoyed the beach for a while longer. The time came. Everyone had already returned from the beach and was ready to leave towards the Melusine dungeon which by Mildy's words was underwater, plus for some reason could only be found at night. All that was left was for Hajime to say goodbye and several thoughts were running through his mind. Saying goodbye was difficult. What if he hadn't become attached to Myu? What if he hadn't heard Aiko's words about having a lonely life? If Myu was abandoned, how would the other members of the group feel? These questions had everything to do with something. Attachment. Hajime had become attached to Myu and now he didn't know how to say goodbye. If he hadn't brought Myu along he wouldn't have to live through this moment. But even if he did, how would his companions feel? Rimuru would go against it with all his might, Chloe and Sakura would agree with Rimuru and they would probably convince Hajime. Shia and Tio wouldn't go against Hajime's opinion, but they would definitely feel sad and that was something Hajime didn't want. Myu. I guess this is goodbye. Hajime said and picked her up on his lap. Myu hugged him tightly and said. Don't worry Papa. I know Papa needs to go. I'm not going to cry. I am his daughter, so I have to be strong too. She said and Hajime stroked her head. Papa will come back, won't he? Myu. After I finish my adventures, I'm going to a place far away. But I have to stay with you. I have to stay with Papa. Myu insisted on staying close to Hajime with all her strength, and Hajime couldn't stand it. Alright. He absent-mindedly said, but he wasn't going to take it back. Somehow Hajime was going to get Myu into his world no matter what he had to do. Myu seemed happy about that and got off Hajime's lap. Ramiya then came forward to speak. Sorry. I decided this without asking you. If you are against it, I will understand. Era. Of course I'm not against it. You saved Myu, so the least I can do is move. You know, the place I'm talking about isn't just far away, it's another world. As long as you and Myu and I are together, there is no problem, dear heart. Ramiya reassured him. Even with her ufufu, she seemed to be serious about going to the other world with Hajime. Hajime hugged Ramiya, after being persuaded, said goodbye and got into the submarine. Everyone left while waving. The submerged ruins of Margarine. One of the great dungeons that the group was aware of, and one that was not known to the world, unlike the Gurian volcano or the Orcus dungeon. This dungeon was extremely easy, and here's why. Mildy told them about this dungeon and also told them how to find it. It is necessary to use the Gurian dungeon conquest test. When it is night, you must point the ring to the moon and the light will show you the way. This is exactly what they did. They went to the middle of the sea and pointed the ring toward the moon. The reflection of the light pointed in many directions and led them to a place in the ocean that would have been almost impossible to find without the light guiding them. When they arrived at this random spot in the ocean, the light revealed a large submerged ruin that was previously hidden by magic. This ruin was literally underwater, but it was easy to enter because of the submarine. The tunnels were square and large enough for the submarine to enter easily. The monsters they encountered were also extremely easy. The monsters seemed to have infinite regeneration and had no core, so normally they would be hard to kill, but the group had Rimuru, who was a walking cheat, Chloe, who could use disintegration magic and taught that magic to Tio and Yu. In addition, Sakura had a way to attack the soul of the creatures and that ignored regenerations. The water and the practically immortal monsters soon revealed the concept of this dungeon. It was to test the intelligence of the challenger and how he would get past the water and the monsters. Or at least that's what they thought the concept was. After a while of wandering through the maze, they arrived at a location that did not have water everywhere like the rest of the maze. After reaching this place, they all put the submarine away. When they did this, a large octopus-like monster appeared and broke the ground they were standing on. Immediately a large amount of water fell and tried to separate them into different tunnels. However, Rimuru blocked the water and they all managed to go through the same tunnel. As they followed this tunnel, they all came to a strange place. This place didn't have water everywhere, but it had water about a foot high, and the place was dark, damp, and scary. There were several wrecked boats, and it was very scary. It was then that everyone discovered the concept of this dungeon. A large magical circle appeared at everyone's feet and they were all transported into an illusion. This illusion showed them why so many ships were destroyed here. When they blinked, they found themselves in a war. They had all become pirates with swords and were in a full-scale sea war. This war was really horrible. The sailors fighting it seemed to be fighting over different religions, so they kept saying things like, "Die, you heathen," or, "Die and take your god with you." In addition, they all seemed to be enjoying slaughtering those who did not share their beliefs. This could be noticed from their psychotic looks and obsessed laughter. After a while, the pirates attacked them inside the illusion and they were forced to fight back. No matter how many the group killed, more kept coming, and killing people was not something that gave any of them pleasure, but they were all without their powers and could do nothing. They were all just normal soldiers. Seal told them that he could get them out of the illusion, but that would probably cause them to fail the ordeal of the dungeon. So they all decided to continue even if they sent the situation. They killed many soldiers, but no matter how many they killed, more kept coming. Moreover, the worst thing was that everyone came to kill them with twisted looks on their faces. That's how they came up with the concept of the dungeon. It was to show what religion can cause. To show how becoming obsessed with God can create wars, disasters, and it can create maniacs. Most of the group already knew this, and those who didn't realized it when they met Freed at the Gurian volcano. The way he talked about his god was really horrible. However, Kaori was the only one who didn't know what religion could cause and also wasn't at Gurian volcano, so she was the one who was most terrified of the war of religions. After a while, everyone came out of the illusion and found themselves in the same place. That was horrible. Yes, it was very unpleasant. This one agrees. Rimuru, Chloe and Tio commented. Hajime was hugging Kaori to calm her down and Yu was calming Shia. Sakura and Tio had stern looks on their faces while Rimuru had a bitter expression. It reminded him of the Pharmas soldiers who attacked Tempest out of pure prejudice and claimed to be following God's orders. Rimuru felt himself on the ground leaning against a rock as he thought. Rimuru-san. Please hug me. Chloe said and hugged Rimuru's waist tightly. She placed her head on his chest and Rimuru hugged her waist to bring her closer. Chloe was pure of heart and was a hero. She didn't like to kill if she didn't have to, and seeing that seemed to shake her up a lot. Rimuru was pretty shaken up too, but seeing the look on Chloe's face he just forgot about it. He hugged her tightly and stroked her hair gently. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm with you. He stayed hugging her for a while as he comforted her and Hajime did the same with Kaori. After the two seemed better the group decided to continue on their way. Kaori and Chloe were embarrassed that they had shaken themselves up and slowed them down, but everyone reassured them. After a while of walking. Master. Yes. Seal called out to Rimuru and he looked confused. The others also looked at Seal to hear what she had to say. Seal pulled out her sword which was the same one used by Shizu and where we are. Ciel's sword flashed and she gave a backward slash. When she did this her sword hit something in the air and space blurred around her sword. The thing Ciel had hit was strange. It didn't have a clear shape, but it looked like a human and its color was transparent white. Oh. What is that? There are more of them here. I detect spirit life forms similar to this one attached to this place. Spirit life form? Is it a nature spirit or a demon? Rimuru asked. He didn't think it would be an angel so there were only 2 other spirit life forms left. No, it's none of the ones Master mentioned. It is probably a new form. That life form was created by putting together an unnatural energy. What energy? Hate. Seal said in a heavy tone and explained. These life forms she was detecting were probably formed from the deaths of several people who had their souls rooted in hatred. These people died nearby and their souls joined together in this new creature. I think Master would like the name, ghosts. They need to possess bodies to leave this place, but unlike demons they need living bodies and don't need permission. So the ghosts will possess us. How can we stop the possession? Kaori asked scared and hid behind Hajime. It seems that ghosts were one of Kaori's weak points. Akame asked Seal a way to stop the possession as she knew they wouldn't run away. Don't worry. I have made everyone immune to the ghosts. We'll be fine. Seal reassured them and they continued on their way. After a while of walking they found something. A large statue of a woman who seemed to be from the Sea People and appeared to be around 20 years old. The woman was wearing a luxurious dress. The statue was 20 feet high and made of stone. This is the Liberator Margarine. Look there. Rimuru and Hajime recognized it as the Liberator Margarine. They knew her appearance because of the description in Oscar Orcus' journal. Yu pointed to a spot and when they all looked they saw another statue. The distance between the statues was about 30 meters. Everyone checked the statues but found nothing. They then started looking around. Here. Seal called out to them. They moved closer as they were called and Seal used his sword to push away some of the clay at their feet. When the clay was pushed away a circular pressure plate appeared. Right between the statues. Could it be the entrance to Margarine's dwelling? Maybe. Probably. They commented among themselves and theorized about the plate. Rimuru stepped forward and stepped on the pressure plate. Cachin. The statues opened, split in half, and released an energy that created a portal. On the other side of the portal the group could see a 4-story stone tower that stood beneath the sea. The tower had a barrier that prevented water from passing through and even had grass around it. It was the abode of the trader. Let's go. Hajime went ahead and everyone went inside. Inside the tower didn't have many things besides what one would need to survive: bathroom, bedroom, kitchen, living room and so on. On the top floor was a large magic circle that they knew what it did. Everyone climbed into the magic circle and, "Hello, I am Melu Margarine." The hologram of the same woman depicted in the statues appeared and told them the same story about the mad gods. "I just want everyone to be able to live by their own will." She finished with those words and the magic circle glowed brightly. Everyone had their memories scoured and gained a new magic. Regeneration. Yes. That's an impressive magic. Shia, Hajime, and Akame commented regeneration magic, a magic that reversed time. This magic didn't only work on people, and it was also difficult to use. Some of them had little aptitude for this magic, and the one with the most aptitude was Kaori. Goodbye. The hologram spoke and everyone was teleported to another place. It seems that Margarine did not want people to stay in her house. They were teleported above the sea, at the same location as the submerged ruins that could be seen below. They dropped a few feet and swam to stay above the sea. It seems that the female members of the Liberators do not have good manners. Rimuru commented. This exit request, as well as Mildy's, was really quite rude and everyone agreed with it. Hajime removed the sub and everyone went inside to dry off. It was at this moment. Boom! Roa. A loud noise was heard and everyone saw something emerging from within the sea. It was a gigantic creature that raised a gigantic wave as it came out of the sea. The creature had the shape of a woman with curly hair and instead of legs it had several gigantic tentacles. She appeared to be made of a transparent gel-like material. Master, this creature seems to have extremely powerful regeneration. Well, we've already picked up the magic, so I guess it's okay for me to take care of it. Rimuru said and no one disagreed. The reason they didn't let Rimuru take care of everything was so they could complete the dungeon, so now it was okay. The monster was coming towards the group. Rimuru raised his hand toward them and said. Let's see if this will do. King of Death Azrael. He said, and a large ball of black energy went towards the creature. Rimuru had used the ability he analyzed from Azrael. When the energy ball touched the creature there was no bang, screech or any other sound. The creature began to disappear. Just that, disappearing in pieces as if it were turning the air. Yosh, let's go back. Rimuru said and got into the submarine. The rest of the group was no longer surprised and just sighed. They all got into the submarine and traveled back to the mainland. CH-49. Unexpected encounter. After conquering the Margarine submerged ruins, Rimuru, Hajime and the girls decided to go to the Great Halt Tree. They also decided that halfway there they would pass Ankati and use their newly acquired regeneration magic to heal the water-contaminated crops. That would be of great help to Ankati. It is a pleasure to see you again. Ranzi greeted them when they arrived. Everyone got off the car and greeted him as well. Ranzi was surprised to hear that the crop could be saved and guided them to the plantation. Kaori regenerated the plantation and Ranzi thanked her. As they were leaving the place where the crop was. Here they are. Surround them. Several men dressed in white surrounded them. Everyone was confused and Ranzi said. Bishop, what is it? Duke Ranzi, get away from them. These people have been defined as heretics by the church. Heretics? Ranzi looks at the group and thought for a moment. The group seemed surprised that they were labeled as heretics. No matter how the church labels them, these are the heroes of the Duchy of Ankati and attacking them will be a serious crime. Ha! You're going against the church. Do you know how idiotic that is? The bishop spoke in an arrogant tone and let out a laugh. However, his laughter was interrupted by a rock hitting his head. The bishop was surprised by the rock and looked in the direction of his attacker. He was surprised to see a crowd gathered with stones in their hands. What do you mean heretics? They're the ones who helped us. That. How would EHT Sama label the apostles as heretics, eh? Yeah. Maybe you guys are the real heretics, you liar. Fucking bishop. The crowd spoke offensive things to the bishop and threw stones at the people in the church. The bishop and his subordinates were shocked to be attacked by the crowd. They thought that because they were from the church, they would not be challenged by anyone. The bishop and his subordinates ran out while protecting themselves from the rocks. Ranzi turned to the group and said. I'm sorry about that. Are you sure about that? The church is not going to stand still. Yes, I am. You saved us and I will not let you be attacked in our country. Hajime asked and Ranzi confirmed his choice. The group members seemed happy not to be betrayed and Rimuru said. Good, let's get going then. Ranzi-san, take care. Rimuru said and pulled the four-wheeled vehicle out of its infinite space. The group members prepared to get in, but Ranzi stopped them. Wait please. I would like you guys to stay a little longer. Ankati is having a festival and I would like you to leave. Ranzi invited them to a festival and they talked among themselves. Rimuru, Chloe, Sakura, Seal and Shia wanted to stay for the festival, but Hajime, Tio, Yu and Akame had no interest. They thought it was a waste of time. Come on Hajime-kun, it's not every day you get to attend a festival in another world. Hajime didn't sound convinced. There will be food, dancing, and maybe even parades. Sai, if you accept, maybe I'll show you some methods to create weapons. I'm listening. A magic canceller. Deal done. Hajime wouldn't budge, so Rimuru had to use a card up his sleeve to convince him. Seeing that Hajime agreed, Yu and Tio also agreed, and Akame didn't want to be the only one to disagree, so she also agreed to stay. Filled circle, filled circle, filled circle. Wow, that was really a great festival. Rimuru said and propped himself up in the car seat. Currently everyone was in the six-wheeled vehicle and had just left Ankati, right after a 3-day festival. They actually formed several festivals. Yes, true, and all of them were great. Hajime corrected him, but Rimuru didn't even care. There was food, parades, and many great things at this festival. At first Rimuru kept comparing it to the festivals in Tempest, but he realized that there was no way to compare since the resources in his country were much greater, so he decided to just enjoy the festival. In the end everyone enjoyed it and did not regret having accepted Ranzi's proposal. By the way, how long are you guys going to keep those clothes on? Hajime didn't like it. I thought Hajime-kun liked those clothes. Yu and Kaori looked dismayed at Hajime's question. The clothes he was referring to were the famous clothes worn in belly dancing. These clothes left many parts exposed and were very common in Ankati. The girls wanted to wear it at the festival, but continued to wear it after seeing Hajime and Rimuru's reaction. Hajime looked at Yu and Kaori with the eyes of a wild beast, while Rimuru was mesmerized by the beauty of Chloe, Sakura and Seal. Not only that, but Rimuru also got a lot clingier. He was hugging and kissing his beloved, especially Chloe, all the time. It seems that these clothes had the same effect as the bikinis the girls wore in Arisen. There was even a moment when Rimuru and Chloe mysteriously disappeared, and when they came back Chloe's cheeks were flushed. Akame was the only one of the girls who didn't want to wear the outfit. She seemed to be shy. Tio and Shia tried to get Hajime's attention, but were unsuccessful. However, that only made them more determined. This left Akame impressed. It's not that I didn't like it, but we will be passing through the kingdom now. Those clothes are not common there. Hajime explained, and the girls agreed. They said they would change at the next stop. It's really a shame. Rimuru said dejectedly and hugged Chloe's waist next to him. Everyone found his reaction funny, and Seal then said, "If Master wants, he can watch me change. That might cheer him up." What? No, of course not. I'm not a pervert or anything. Rimuru waved his hands in despair, trying to explain. He thought Seal had gone a bit far in suggesting this in front of everyone. The others just laughed at his reaction. It seems that Great Demon Lord was easy to shake. They made a stop for the girls to change and then continued on their journey. 2 days passed. The group was still in the desert, heading towards the Haltina dungeon. Hajime was driving and Yu was sleeping on his lap. Kaori was next to Yu and was sleeping as well. Shia was talking to Sakura, who was hugging the waist of a Rimuru clone. Meanwhile, the other Rimuru was hugging Seal and Chloe, who was talking to Tio in the back seat. Akame was also in the back seat, not saying anything. Everyone was listening to music as they traveled. Rimuru and Hajime had made a soundbox that worked on the basis of magic, and the songs they were listening to were played by Seal through Rimuru, Hajime and Kaori's memories. Hajime-san, I think there's a conflict up ahead. Shia pointed and they looked. They all saw a wagon with some guards fighting a large number of bandits. The wagon was surrounded by a magical barrier. Master, I have detected an acquaintance among those being attacked. Seal said and put down the music. Rimuru thought it best to ask later and first save the person, so he agreed. Then let's help. Rimuru said and looked at the reaction of the others. Yes, Chloe agreed. Those bandits don't stand a chance. Sakura commented and pulled out her pink katana. Hajime-san, speed up. Shia said, ready for combat. I would like to help too, Akame said. And Hajime. Sigh. I was even going to complain, but our group has already become expert at helping people in danger on the road. Hajime wasn't the type to save people, but seeing the determination of his group, he couldn't deny it. Hajime sped up the car and headed toward the bandits. Hajime-kun. Kaori saw that Hajime was not slowing down the car even though he was very close, and questioned him. In auto school they teach that whenever you see a bandit on the street you should step on the gas. Don't twist traffic laws for your convenience. Yu agreed, nodded, and Kaori said, stop agreeing with him, Yu-san. Hajime ended up running over 5 of the bandits. The other members were confused by the metal box that killed their comrades and stopped attacking for a while. Kaori, treat the wounded. We'll take care of the rest. That's right. Anything at all, just call us. Hajime and Rimuru said, and Kaori went toward the wagon guards who were fallen or injured. Some bandits tried to get in her way, but were met with bullets. Rimuru thought it would be tedious to deal with this, so she activated Demon Lord's Haki and said, "Run away," but even as they trembled, the bandits still attacked as they thought there was no way this bunch of teenagers could win a fight. Die. You brat. Swallow that. The bandits shouted similar things and attacked. Rimuru realized that they would not surrender and decided to approach it Hajime style. Enemies must be killed. Quiet. You said before killing several bandits. Who said you guys could move? Sakura said and froze several of them. Shia gave an excited shout and swung Doryuken. Seal just watched as Rimuru had an extremely one-sided clash with some bandits. Akame was just scratching and killing her targets. Rimuru and were teaching her how to use her powers, so Akame, who was already super strong, was even more powerful. Her katana easily cut through the armor of the bandits. Chloe was showing no difficulty either. I think that was all of them. Let's go see how Kaori-san is doing. They put their weapons away and went to see if Kaori needed help. When they arrived, they saw that Kaori had healed most of the guards and was helping them up. Looks like she's okay. Ah, Seal-san. Which of these guards is our acquaintance? Rimuru asked curiously. Not a guard. Seal shook his head in denial. It's that one over there. Princess Liliana. Seal pointed to a pile of sand near them, and there stood a girl wearing a cloak. She hid her face and avoided looking at anyone. Lily? Kaori said in surprise upon hearing Ciel's words. The girl in the cloak seemed surprised to hear a familiar voice. Kaori. She said in surprise and took off her hood. When Lily did so, the group could see a beautiful blonde-haired Georda who looked to be 15 years old. It was Princess Liliana of the Haihiri Kingdom. I well found the familiar barrier. Kaori, good to see you. Looks like my luck hasn't run out. Lily said, relieved. Is that Lily-san? Rimuru realized who it was and was surprised. He couldn't understand why the princess of the kingdom was in the desert without her guards. Kaori also seemed to want to know. It's good to see you too, Rimuru. We were all worried when you went down in the dungeon. Lily had felt guilty for bringing students from another world into her country's war, so she talked to the students whenever she could. That's why she really cared about the students' safety when they went to the Orcus dungeon. Lily, are you okay? Do you have any injuries? Kaori asked and began to analyze her. However, she seemed fine. Don't worry. I want to talk is about you, Kaori. Shizuku told me about how you declared your love for Nagumo-kun in front of everyone. Come on, tell me more. How are your travels? Oh, that must be him, right? Lily's words left Kaori red and unable to answer. At this moment, the other members of the group approached. Oi, Kaori, Rimuru, who is she? Lily, Rimuru and Kaori were silent. Hajime had already spoken to Lily, so they did not understand his question. You forgot me, cry. Even though I'm a princess. Ew. Lily started crying and Kaori scolded Hajime. Rimuru found the scene funny and said nothing. Looks like we meet again. They heard a familiar voice from inside the wagon. When they looked in its direction, they saw a man in merchant clothes and a face they recognized. Oh, that's the guy we escorted in foreign. Rimuru commented as he remembered. Yeah. What was his name again? Mado, right? Hajime asked and the merchant named Mado agreed. This man tried to buy the girls as slaves, but he received some of Rimuru's haki and gave up. He was quite insistent, so the group noticed his great merchant spirit. It is a pleasure to see you all again. I see you know Princess Liliana. Mado said and greeted everyone. And Liliana. You recognize someone you escorted once, but you don't recognize a princess. Who? My pride was a little wounded. She said and fell into crying again. Kaori comforted her and after a while Lily stopped crying and approached Mado. She told him that she would no longer need his escort and offered to pay him, but Mado stopped her. There is no need. You have something that is often more important than money to merchants. It's trust. Trust? Yes, so I won't charge you for the trip, Princess Liliana. Have a good trip from here on out. Mado bade farewell to the group and got into the wagon. His guards followed him and continued on their way to Ankati. The group wanted to know why the princess was here, so they invited her into the car. Aiko has been kidnapped. Lily stated heavily, and everyone was surprised. Before Lily continued, Rimuru quickly explained to Akame who Aiko was so she wouldn't be confused. Akame realized that Aiko was someone important to the group and listened carefully to Liliana's story. 3 weeks ago something strange happened in the Haihiri kingdom. The king labeled Hajime, Rimuru and Kaori as heretics. Liliana tried to convince him to change his mind, but nothing she said worked. Every time she tried something, her father would say something about God and ignore her arguments. Not only this, but the way he spoke and his personality seemed to have changed. All this happened soon after the arrival of a gray-haired woman who claimed to have been sent by the church. Lily found these events strange and tried to talk to the apostles, but was always prevented by soldiers or the gray-haired woman herself. Then the day came. Aiko was kidnapped. Liliana saw the gray-haired woman kidnapping Aiko and realized that something very wrong was happening. She then fled the kingdom and decided to ask Ankati for help. Lily got a ride with a merchant and made her way here. So I would like your help. Everyone was thoughtful as they heard her words. Even Akame, who didn't know Aiko, wanted to help. Yet everyone looked at the person who could deny this proposal. Hajime. Well, that gray-haired woman must be sent by the gods, so I guess it's my fault for telling Aiko about them. Hajime paused a little. Let's help my teacher, he said determinedly, and everyone was excited. Thank you. Lily thanked him excitedly, but Hajime discouraged her by saying, don't misunderstand, I'm going to save Sensei, I'm not going to help the kingdom. Don't worry, Lily-san. Since we are going over there, I can give a little help for the kingdom. Rimuru said, and Lily thanked him. The others also seemed happy to help. They wanted to get there as fast as possible, so Rimuru took the wheel and sped off. He could even have stopped in time for that, but it would have been a hassle, because the car wouldn't move and Rimuru would have to push. So Rimuru decided to just step on the gas. Let's go for it. So Shuna, why did you call this emergency meeting? Shion asked and sat down in his chair. The actual location was the meeting room that Rimuru and his executives used. Besides Shuna and Shion, also here were Benimaru, Soi, Geld, Gabiru, Hakuro, Diablo, Ranga, Ultima, Carrera and Testarossa. There weren't that many people here because the meeting was called abruptly. This was the first time Shuna had called a meeting, so everyone was curious. Shuna was at the head of the table, so she seemed to have something important to talk about. What Shuna was about to say made everyone understand the reason for the meeting. As you know, some time ago Rimuru-sama entrusted me with an important responsibility. He entrusted me to take care of the continental barrier, and today, the barrier detected something. The continental barrier. It wasn't actually a barrier and more of a detection field. This barrier was around the continent that Tempest was on. This continent was called the main continent and covered not only Tempest, but several other important countries such as the Eastern Empire, the Holy Empire of Ruberios, Ingratia, Dwargon and many other countries. This continent was similar in size to Asia on Earth, but its shape was different. The barrier Shuna spoke of also covered a small continent to the north and a small continent to the south. The southern continent was much smaller and had only one country. El Dorado, ruled by the demon lord Leon Cromwell. This continent was about the same size as Australia and had a similar shape. This country had already taken up trade relations with Tempest. The northern continent was slightly larger than El Dorado and had no defined country. This continent was too cold for any humans to live on, so the only ones who lived there were the demon lord Guy Crimson, Velzard, Mazari, Rain and the demons commanded by them. These three continents were extremely close, and so Rimuru was able to put up a detection field that covered them all. In addition, the field covered some islands that surrounded them. The reason Rimuru put up this field was a few years before Rimuru returned to his old universe, he was warned by Seal about something he didn't know about this world. There was one more continent. Seal had taken a general look at this world and found that this planet was similar in size to Earth and also had a South Pole and a North Pole, but that they were not inhabited. The most interesting thing was that Seal discovered a new continent. This continent was the same size as the three continents mentioned before, and was literally on the other side of the world. Its shape was very similar to a shield. Seal detected various life forms on this continent, so Rimuru became curious. Rimuru went to Guy to ask about it, because Guy had once been Veldenova's mediator. A mediator was someone who prevented humanity and the other races from destroying each other. Guy always did this by sending demons to attack humans and forcing them to unite. Rimuru asked Guy if he sent demons to that continent, but it seems that even Guy didn't know about the continent. Rimuru asked other people about the same subject and the only ones who seemed to know about it were the real dragons. Velzard knew, but was never interested. Velgrand knew, because Rude had plans to dominate this continent and Veldora was the only one who had ever gone there. Before Veldora was sealed by Chloe he had fun spreading destruction. Nowadays he had fun with manga. Veldora told Rimuru that he had once gone to that continent and destroyed some cities. Veldora told Rimuru everything he knew about the cities he attacked. He didn't remember much, since it was several centuries ago, so the only things he said were that in the cities he destroyed, they had only humans and Veldora didn't kill anyone. He also said the technology of these cities was of the same level as the Western nations were before Rimuru came to this world. This meant that the angels probably attacked there as well. After hearing this, what Rimuru decided was, they would not attack, invade, or contact the other continent. Rimuru didn't want to play Europeans by invading the Americas, so he decided just the other continent if they did it first. So Rimuru put a detection barrier around the continents to know when someone from the other continent got close. He left Shuna in charge of the barrier, for two reasons. One, Shuna was extremely reliable. Two, Shuna didn't have as much work as the others. Shuna had enough work as a cook, but nowadays she had trained several people who were almost her equal. In addition, there was another big boss named Yoshida. The other executives often had to go and solve some problem, so Rimuru left it to Shuna to monitor the barrier. I see. What do we know about them? Everyone there knew the meaning of Shuna's words, so Benimaru asked what he wanted to know. The others also looked at Shuna curiously. Yes, at the moment we know that they came in 4 ships completely made of metal. The barrier detected only humans and their quantity is 1200. Shuna described what the barrier discovered and the others were thoughtful. Ships made completely of metal meant advanced technology. However, the continent's technology was not far behind, as there were even a few airplanes. Testarossa then raised a question.
Miss Shuna, from which direction did they come? As Rimuru-sama expected, from the east. Seal told Rimuru that it was most likely coming from the east. That's because, even if the distance from the west was the same, since it was literally the other side of the world, there were more dangerous monsters to the west. And obviously it wouldn't be south or north, since that would require crossing one of the poles. Miss Shuna, you said metal ships. Then they must be well armed. Hakuro commented. I will have my spies keep an eye out. Soe said and commanded his spies by telepathy.
How long will it take them to reach land? If they continue at the same speed, it is estimated 5 days. Okay. So before we make contact, let's warn the world leaders and the demon lords. Benimaru estimated that it would be better to warn the others before making contact, and everyone agreed. This was because many of the world leaders might want to talk to these foreigners as well. Okay. Good that Rimuru-sama gave these mobiles to several of them, Geld said proudly. Kufufufu. Rimuru-sama always one step ahead. It's a shame he won't be here to see this. Diablo said and finished with another laugh. Soe let Dwargon, the Masayuki and the Western nations know. Let me warn the demon lords. Testarossa said and stood up. Everyone was getting up to perform tasks, but Shion stopped them. Wait. First we have to think about how to warn them. Huh. Ah, really? Gabble seemed to be the first to realize what she was talking about and sat back down. Actually 4 demons hadn't even gotten up since they knew this subject would come up. What do you mean, Miss Shion? Geld asked and it was Testarossa who answered in his place.
She is saying exactly what she said. The way we warn the leaders may also define how our approach to these foreigners will be. Testarossa said and took his tea. Carrera seemed to have understood what she said and stood up abruptly.
Ah, I get it. We have to think about whether we are going to kill those guys or not.
She seemed excited that she understood. They had to decide whether to ask the world leaders to send their armies or their diplomats. They had to choose the peaceful or aggressive approach.
Of course we will approach them peacefully. Benimaru said and no one objected. Geld even added, yes, we should avoid harassing them as much as possible. Everyone thought the same thing, as Rimuru always tried the peaceful and diplomatic approach. Rimuru's will was the most important thing for them. Okay, everyone get to work. Benimaru ordered and everyone left the meeting room.